to Stress Recess. We're so glad you could make it tonight. I'm going to start by introducing my co-hosts, let them kind of introduce themselves first. I've got Sarah Summy over here. Do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sarah Summy from Palm Point Behavioral Health.
And Sarah Paliuka.
Hi, I'm Sarah Paliuka with University Behavioral Center.
Juanita.
Hi everyone, Juanita Carbajal with Positive Behavior Solutions.
And we also have our speaker, Janie Lacy, who I'm going to give a proper introduction to here. In the meantime, this is Duke. I'm Wendy, his mom, also Director of Business Development over at University Behavioral Center. We provide inpatient detox, substance use, and acute mental health for adults, and then acute mental health for our kiddos ages 5 to 17.
I'm eating popcorn.
And he's eating popcorn. I'd love to introduce Janie, our speaker. Actually, I'm sorry, Juanita. Juanita's gonna do a couple breathing exercises just to kind of get us a little bit de-stressed to begin with. So I'll give the floor over to Juanita.
Sure. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I hope you guys get to enjoy this little practice we have. Some of us may have Zoom fatigue, but just want to remind you that you guys are always welcome to come back to your breath. It's a tool that sometimes we forget, but it's very useful, very practical, and it can be done anywhere, anytime, just about. So find a comfortable seated position, ground your feet firmly, relax your shoulders, relax your neck. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale. One more time, take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale. This time we're going to be a little bit more intentional. So after your inhale, we're going to hold it for 5 seconds. So take a deep inhale through your nose. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Shake it out. You can invite some more movement into your body. A fun technique we like to teach for the kids, also when breathing, you can use bubbles. So if you guys have bubbles in the home or in your classroom, this is a really great tool to teach someone how to relax and just take a deep breath so they don't even realize they're doing deep breathing exercises. And thank you for joining us. We have a Wendy's son. So again, take a deep inhale through your mouth this time, kids. And then exhale, and you'll see some fun bubbles. So that's just a fun activity to do with kids, elementary school, even, adults. Sometimes we really just need to have a little fun with our own deep breathing exercises. Yeah.
Thank you, Juanita.
Thanks so much, Juanita. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker today. Janie, I've known for, probably close to 8 years. We met when I first started at UBC, and I've just seen her grow and seen her just accomplish so much as a therapist, as a person. And I'm
for my own.
happy to
All for my own.
That is all your own. And I'm happy to call her a friend as well as a colleague. Dr. Janie Lacy is a relationship trauma therapist who helps individuals and couples heal from painful experiences to build and maintain healthy relationships. Her practice is life counseling solutions. So if you're looking for a great therapist, she's great. She has a great team of experts that all have specialties as well. And she just serves in different areas of the community. I've never heard Jamie say no to doing something positive for the community. So we are so grateful to have her today. And I'm going to give the floor to Jamie and mute us over here.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you for having me. You know, it's the end of October, and as we just stop and pause and just think about everything that we've gone through, our families have gone through, our kids have gone through, it's like, whew, we needed to start with that deep breath. You know, because I am experiencing a lot of people are going through, especially now, as someone had mentioned earlier about Zoom fatigue. You know, a lot of people are talking about just crisis fatigue. You know, we have not only seen racial inequalities coming up, you know, we're in the middle of the pandemic and, you know, elections, and we have all of these different stressors coming at us. And, you know, the way that we are as humans, as people, is we're not necessarily built to have an extensive period of stress over long periods of time. So we have gone through a lot, and we have to just start off by just giving ourselves a break. And that means that, you know, the normal performing and all the things that we've had going on, it's okay that we don't get to our to-do list and that our kids are not running off to all the different sports and activities, because we're probably going to look back and say that, yes, this has been a time of fatigue and a time of stress, but it's also been a time of focusing on our family and just really togetherness and connectiveness. But there's also some other things that some of the families in particular have been experiencing during this time. And I just want to kind of highlight some of those and just give you some quick 7 tips of what we can do as a community and as families to get us through, especially through this end of this year. You know, because we're looking at not only the symptoms of some families, kids, or us as parents who have difficulty sleeping or sometimes oversleeping. Especially during this time, we're at home more. A lot of people are just feeling lethargic. There's depression, there's anxiety, there's irritability, and there's trouble with making decisions. So if you're feeling these things, you're not necessarily alone, or if you know someone, a family member or someone that you work with that may be experiencing this, we want to give them grace as well as ourselves. But if you feel like you can't focus on your energy level and your energy levels are low, a lot of people are experiencing that. I know I went through little bouts of that, and it's hard to get motivated to manage just everyday activities. Or if you feel sad or overwhelmed, it could also mean that you're angry, or sometimes we're seeing kids or teens and parents uncharacteristically lashing out. I mean, these are some signs that, you know what, there's just a lot of fatigue that's going on with everything that we've been experiencing this year. So I just want to quickly go through some 7 self-care tips that are very practical and very easy that I practice myself to help us all get through this time. You know, one of the first things I see that we need to do, or that I suggest that we do, and that's cutting out our negative coping skills. You know, I've been seeing memes and people joking about, you know, just binge watching, we're eating all the chips in the cabinet, all these types of things. Yes, it's okay to have moments like that. But what I've also been seeing is our negative coping skills, is what I'm going to call them, has become a way of life for many people. And we're using that as an excuse. But what happens when we make these negative coping skills, we're joking about it and they become dominant, is we have some issues at the end of it, right? And we can talk about many of those issues. So we just want to really be mindful, in particular, of compulsive eating and overspending, because those are going to have some long-term effects, not only in our health, but our wallet. So really think about what are some of your negative coping skills as an individual and as a family. And you probably want to really focus on minimizing those during this time, especially going into the new year. And then the other thing I find helpful for families and for my family as well is sticking to a routine. And that routine can be finding a new routine and implementing it, and thinking in terms of small ways that you can create everyday routines around breakfast, around just getting up in the morning. I know for me, I'm a miracle morning person, so I have a routine first thing in the morning to set the intention. I believe giving my first fruits of the day to myself so then I can better serve my family and the community and clients alike. So really thinking about, like, what is my routine and what are the things that I know that I can have consistency and look forward to each and every day. Because sometimes with people that suffer from bouts of depression or even anxiety, the consistency and predictability of their day also helps decrease some of the symptoms of it. And number 3, I would want to really say this, and this takes some more concentrated effort on all of our parts, and that's to pay attention to the story that we're telling ourselves. The story that we're telling ourselves, not only about what's going on, but about ourselves. Because what will happen is we can get stuck in our negative narrative, and that increases feelings of hopelessness. So one of the things that I do in my morning routine, and I recommend to families, and even my own son does this, he just does it differently, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I keep a gratitude journal. So each morning in my miracle morning is I'm writing down 5 to 10 things that come to mind that I am grateful for, and I don't judge it. Whatever, it could be my house, it could be my car, right? And then my son, my health, all those things. So we want to start by our day by keeping a gratitude journal, and that can kind of combat some of our negative narratives around ourselves. And the way that I teach my son to do that, who's 8, is every morning is he has 3 affirmations, and he repeats the same exact thing every day. I'm strong, I'm smart, and I'm brave. He says that every single day, right? So make it very simple and obtainable. And, you know, long term, we know what we're reprogram him, right? So having those self affirmations, that is a character trait versus a physical trait. And then the 4th thing I would highly suggest is practicing mindfulness. And that's just being, you know, we want to look at a consistent practice, in particular of mindfulness, has been shown to improve the ability to cope with stress. And there's a book called Mindfulness for Beginners by John Zine, and I think it's a great book for those that may be interested in mindfulness. Or even just meditation, right? You can look at meditation, you can get Insight Timer, there's Headspace. And I'm trying, I haven't necessarily been as successful as I would like to teach my son meditation. So he's doing like 2 minutes and 1 minute of just time of just doing breathing exercises and just teaching him in really small ways. So we can teach our children that. We can also practice it as a family. And that's one of the things that I start in my own miracle morning, is do a meditation practice. And number 5 is that I would highly suggest that as families and even as children, is to schedule self-care as a preventative measure, right? Because, and that could be something as small, like when my son, he will watch his YouTube videos, and I'm okay with him watching some YouTube videos because he's usually watching something that makes him laugh. So when we kind of think about small ways in which we can have self-care preventative in our day, it could be something as watching something funny, or it could just be having a moment to yourself, right? Just drinking a cup of tea and reading a book. It doesn't have to be an hour or 2 hours, because sometimes I'll hear, in particular, moms say, well, Janie, I just don't have enough time. Well, we have time to brush our teeth and take a shower. So we can have time, just 5 or 10 minutes just to give to ourselves. And that means we have to make room for it, because we're all busy and we understand we have the priorities, but we also have to make ourselves the priority so that we can be better serve our families and our community and in our workspaces, because it is a time of fatigue and everyone is feeling it in different ways. And then number 6, we want to really consider and think about just letting ourselves grieve. Every single one of us that have lived through 2020, you know, we are grieving different things in many different ways. Like before we started the call, we're talking about weddings and things that people had to postpone and cancel, you know, and the life that we had before the pandemic. You know, there was important milestones that we were looking forward to, our friends and family were looking forward to. So it's okay to take a moment and really grieve those things that we expected, certain things, and it didn't come the way that we thought it would. Graduations. You know, some of my students who I'm working with virtually are at their college campuses, and they're in their room all day and, you know, suffering in many different ways. So giving them an opportunity to grieve and to give life to it and not feel like I have to have it all together and I have to power through this because that's what my family expects. No, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel irritable. It's okay to feel disappointed, right? The challenge is we just don't want to stay stuck there, but we do want to acknowledge that that's what's going on for us. And one of the last things that I would say as a quick self-care tip is we have to pull in our support systems, because what will happen in particular during this crisis fatigue is we actually push people away. You know, if we're not working, we'll push people away because we are irritable, or we're frustrated, or we're like, you know what, I am just zoomed out. So we just want to take a break and just relax. But in the same token, that can cause a lot of stress, higher stress in the long term, by pushing the people away that we love or care for, or who otherwise would be our support system. So we want to consider that. And then lastly, what I'll say is that we want to think about other support systems that we can pull in, like therapy. Therapy can be a helpful way to get additional support during this time. And that can be your safe space, a non-judgmental space. And no one knows that what you're talking about except you and that therapist. So it's okay to reach out for additional support. So just to kind of recap those 7 tips, cutting out negative coping skills, really thinking about things that you're doing that have now become a pattern during this time, like compulsive eating and overspending. Thinking about your routine, having some consistency and predictability, especially if you suffer from anxiety, that can help lower some of the effects of it or symptoms. And paying attention to the story of what you tell yourself, the negative self-talk, and all of those types of things that can keep us feeling hopeless and keep our motivation down low. Some practical things to combat that is keeping the gratitude journal and just really thinking through self-affirmations and what do you want your 2021 to look like, manifest it by writing it as if it's already happened, and speak those things over your life very practically. And practice mindfulness, and being in that consistent practice, again, will help with stress. And you can also start by meditation. There's different apps, Insight Timer, Headspace, Calm. And schedule that self-care as a preventative measure. And I like to look at it in micro ways, things that you can do every day, even if it's putting on a face mask or whatever that may be for you. Do something for yourself. Watch something funny on YouTube, something that's funny, that makes you laugh, or have a moment to yourself. And then letting yourself grieve, important milestones, all the things that you were looking forward to in 2020. A lot of people came into 2020 saying this is going to be the best year, 2020, Vision 2020. Well, it did give us some clarity in a different way, and I'm sure we'll all appreciate that at some point if we haven't already. And then pulling in our support system, and that support system can also include therapy. So very practical tips, and those are things that as soon as you get off of the Zoom call or wherever you're going to be watching this replay, that you can do immediately. So we can finish stronger in 2020. It doesn't have to be, completely this dreaded experience, because we still have 2 months left. So we can finish differently than how we started. So if there's any questions, I'll open to answer any questions before we move on with our agenda. I'll be happy to do that.
Yes, that would be great. And Ashley Sanders is with us, and she is the person from Seminole County Public Schools that coordinated this with us. So Ashley, if you have anything you want to add, or anything that you're hearing from students, from families, I would love to hear your thoughts, as well as everyone else on the Zoom meeting here too. Maybe we can ask Maddie, since she's our student on here. What are some of the things, and Maddie, you're doing virtual school, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that, are going through your head, or you're feeling not being back at school, or are you happy to be doing virtual? What are the things that you're dealing with?
Personally, there's pros and cons about it, honestly. Like, obviously I want to go and see my friends, but being home really helps me focus more, and it gives me my own area to where I can study, Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I know your mom did something really cool. She set up little areas in the house and made it special school areas for them. So it feels like your workspace. I love that idea. What a great idea, Sarah.
Yeah. We've had to mourn a lot. We had a high school senior for 2020. We have a high school senior to graduate 2021, who's also a varsity basketball star. So she's missing out on basketball. Emily had a graduation that wasn't the big, they're Seminole County students, so it wasn't the big, we get to go to UCF and have this big graduation that we've looked forward to for 4 years. Senior prom was canceled. So I really, I wrote down all your little tips, but I can't say enough letting ourselves grieve, because we tried to just see the positive in all of that. And after thing after thing after thing kept getting canceled, like we have loved ones in the military who can't come home that we haven't seen in a year now. And so we finally just had to stop and say, this is really bad, and take the time to process through grieving that. And, Maddie can say, she's had friends that she hasn't seen in a year now, almost. but we're doing the best we can. I think that I really like some of the tips that you gave. Some of them I feel like we're doing, some of them I feel like we can do better with. But I did want to ask you, Dr. Lacy, the name of the book that you recommended.
Yeah, so it is called Mindfulness for Beginners by John, Jon. Zinn, Zinn.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
You have anything else you want to add?
I do not.
I can tell you, we've got a 4-year-old here on this side of education. And for me, it's hard not being able to go into his school. So, you know, the teacher sends home pictures and I scan them so close so I can see, oh, what does this classroom look like? And, you know, it's different, and it's with the holidays coming up too. It's, you know, all of those things, not being able to go to the Thanksgiving Day party in his class and things like that. So as a parent, I mean, I know our kids are feeling it too, but I think for me anyway, parents are feeling it equally as much.
Absolutely. A lot of parents are feeling it. And, you know, I think exactly what Sarah said is acknowledging what was there and what is now there, and allowing ourselves to be disappointed. But then also we pivot because our kids are watching us. So we pivot and we show them that we make the best of the situations, and, you know, we talk about it. We allow them to express their feelings, or especially if they're virtual. How do you feel about, you know, not being able to go to school and some of your friends are at school, right? Being able to acknowledge the obvious, because one of the things I'll see in particular, Wendy, sometimes families don't want to acknowledge that people are in school and some are doing hybrid and the different models because they don't want their child to feel bad. But I always suggest to be open about it. It's going to be a matter of our attitude as parents, how we are presenting to our kids, and because they are a mirror and they're going to reflect how we feel. So we can say, yeah, it is disappointing. And no, I know you missed your friends. But just as Sarah's daughter said, there are some positives, right? You got to decorate your desk in a way that you wouldn't be able to decorate at school. You're able to focus, right? So we can show them our excitement and positivities in other ways. But also acknowledging that this is a season. This is not going to be forever. And don't know exactly when things are going to get back to normal and schools are going to get back to normal, but it's not going to last forever. So we're in this season and we're as a family going to make the best of this season. So what do you think about that, right? So being able to spotlight our positive attitude, but also acknowledging our feelings, because we don't want to give such false positivity that they feel like they can't express their disappointment and their sadness either. That's a great point.
Could you maybe speak a little bit about anxiety levels? I know there's so many students that are going to school and we see this just abundance of anxiety.
Yeah, so what will happen right now is there are a lot of students that are anxieties on a spectrum. But what parents are experiencing, which they will say to me, is I don't know if it's just normal teenage stuff or normal kid stuff, is irritability and wanting to isolate themselves in room, not want to engage in a whole lot of conversation at dinner, those types of things. And sometimes that is when we get used to, for children in particular, children and teens, when they're getting used to this, they're also getting used to feeling anxious and getting used to feeling that. So sometimes they don't even realize they have anxiety because of the situation. But as parents, we can see, okay, he or she's a little bit more irritable, a little bit more isolated, or quick to snap, right? Those types of things that how it can manifest, right? The anxiety is the tree, and the way it manifests in our homes is usually the leaves. But I think one of the points that we want to be really spotlight is to not react to our children or our teens' reaction, right? Because sometimes we don't want them to feel bad, so we're quick to want to fix it, or we want to make it go away, or we're quick to tell them all the positives as why they shouldn't feel that way. Let them have the space to feel it, as long as they're not being disrespectful, right? Allow them to be irritable, allow them to, you know, to speak shortly to a certain degree, right? The threshold is just not being disrespectful, but allowing them to express and to be and to feel whatever they need to feel, because when depression and anxiety really take a hold, especially on teens, and they don't feel like I have a safe place at home. I can't talk to my mom. I can't talk to my dad because they're always trying to change my mood or tell me how I should be. So when there's a real issue, so to speak, a deeper issue, I should say, then they're not necessarily going to come to us as parents. So because we're not allowing natural manifestations of anxiety or even feelings of situational depression. So, but that means to me, what is that? That's usually about us. You know, sometimes you can feel like we're a bad parent or things have to look a certain way, which is why we respond back a certain way. So we have to increase our window of tolerance and knowing where the threshold is. And I just say the threshold right now, we give our kids a lot more grace, probably even more than they deserve, but just have that threshold. As long as they're not being disrespectful, allow them to feel the way that they feel. And it's even okay to a certain degree that they want to isolate and stay in their room and may not want to hang out with the family all day because home is now their school and their house, and not feel like I have to pull them out of the room and come watch TV with us or come play games with us. If they want to be in their room and just kind of take a little nap during the day, allow a lot more than you normally would have otherwise if we weren't in this situation.
Thanks, Janie.
Absolutely.
Anyone else have any questions or things that are on their mind? I can tell you guys from working at an inpatient hospital too, it's really important to look for those signs where you might need to seek a higher level of care. If your child is self-harming or making statements about wanting to die or anything along those lines, it might be a good idea to reach out to a professional, whether it's a counselor or I know Palm Point or University Behavioral Center. You can call us, we can do a free assessment. It doesn't matter who it is or where it is, but just making sure you pay attention to those red flags is really important too. Do we have any questions, anything anyone wants to say? I know it's late in the day, everyone's probably winding down, but I do appreciate you guys being on here with us. One of the things that Sarah and I from Palm Point wanted to share with you was a way to reduce anxiety with kids. And we have 2 different demos with little kids and then for some of the older kids that kind of ties right into what Janie was saying about anxiety and giving them some of those great tips. So Maddie, do you want to kind of share, and Sarah, do you want to share what you guys have over there? You can have your mom help you.
So my kid's lucky to be a therapist kid. Janie, I'm sure that you're a kid, and Wendy, your kid can relate.
I don't know if they agree sometimes, but yes.
But we have our own ways of doing things, but I without even realizing it, my girls have been really good at finding their own coping skills throughout all of this. And I really love that you touched on letting them stay in their room or letting them, watch a little extra TV. Obviously, we're not going to let them stay all day in their rooms and watch TV all day, but that's something that we've had to really find a nice balance with. The whole world's on fire around these kids. So watching some extra TV or, not wanting to hang out with mom and dad at night is probably going to be just exactly what they need. So Maddie has put together her box and some tips and tricks that works for her when she's feeling especially anxious, or what would you say, anxious, or how else would you describe it? Stressed. Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that I would like to show is like a stuffed animal. Even though it's just something full of cotton, it's really nice to hold. It makes you feel like you're less lonely if you're ever by yourself. Another thing that I have is this essential oil. Sorry. You put it on your wrist, roll it back and forth, and it kind of just soaks in. Another thing is whenever you're like working on something, it's good to squeeze, have something to squeeze, a little stress ball. Yeah. I know these just look like paper, but there's actually a lot of things you could do with paper whenever you're stressed. You could either fold it, or you can like just fold it into a bunch of pieces, or you can rip it. A lot of people find that like calmanizing. My last thing that I brought, which has helped me a lot, my mom got me Cards Against Anxiety. Yeah, it comes with a book, and then it comes with some cards that you can go through. A card that personally I love the most is pick a color and focus on it. How many red things do you see? Close your eyes, and how many red things can you imagine? So it's just something to really get it off your mind. And I definitely recommend opening up whenever you're stressed. So for example, whenever I get stressed at work, I call my mom and we just talk about different things because it's really hard to go through things on your own, you know? And the last thing is therapy. I go to therapy. My mom's a therapist, so it's really useful for me.
All right, thank you, Maddie.
Of course.
Maddie, that was awesome. Those are all great tips. I love the cards. It's so cool. Duke, do you want to share your Mickey box? You want to share one thing out of your Mickey box with everyone? What do you use when you get either upset or you're feeling like you need to just take a little break? What do you like in your box? And show everybody on the screen. Oh, a little video game. Is that the one you like?
Yeah.
And how does it make you feel?
You're happy and good to go.
Happy and good to go for your little kids. I think the most therapeutic thing about this is I allow him to put things in his box. And I was so shocked when we first did this. Duke got upset one day and he said, I want my Mad Box. Calls it his Mad Box or his Mickey Box. He named it. And he went and he got it all on his own. And that I thought was really had some great therapeutic value. And then he just has a lot of fun. Like he'll find something. He's like, oh, Mom, this would be great for my Mickey Box. I was like, perfect. So he's got that. He's got a little Rubik's Cube. I tried to use all the different senses in here. He's got like a squishy ball. And for little kids, there's one called the Feelings Book. This is a really good one that talks about feelings and kind of opens them up, talking about their feelings as well. He's also got his little stuffy lovey Maddie, just like you. And then we've got like some little puzzle cards and some art supplies too. So that's what's in his Mickey box right now. Thank you guys. Thank you both for sharing with us. That was great. I appreciate it.
Which one do you want to buy?
So then thank you, Janie, too, for presenting and sharing those tips with us. They're really, really helpful. The next thing we want to do is Sarah Paliuka. I hope everybody takes a good stretch again. And we're going to do a scavenger hunt. And I'll let Sarah take it from here.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Paliuka. So I want to take this opportunity. If anyone has their camera off and would like to participate in our scavenger hunt, please turn your cameras on now. And I will explain the rules. And it's going to be 5 different things that you need to find in your house. And the first person to put it up on their screen that we see wins the first prize. And there's 5 prizes. So everyone that wants to participate, make sure your cameras are on. And ladies, if you can help me judge, that would be awesome.
Sure, we'll call your name out. And then if you could put your contact information in the group chat, and you can send it just to me or the Sarahs and with your address so we can send it over to you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. They're going to send it in here. So the first one is going to be some sort of fall or Halloween decoration or item.
Do we have a Halloween item or a decoration? Amanda!
Yay!
and that is so cute too.
That was so cute.
I'll bring it tomorrow to work.
It's so adorable.
Okay. Everyone ready for the second? All right. Our second one is going to be something that brings you happiness.
Maddie, is
Maddie.
that hair dye?
This is tie-dye stuff. I love tie-dyeing. It makes me happy.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
I think Carmen has something that makes her happy too.
Oh, it's a family photo. Your family, Carmen.
Yes, family photo.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful. All right.
Okay. An item you use for your own self-care.
This one's tough. Michaela. I hope I said that right. Oh, and Carmen's got one too. So we've got a gaming system, and gratitude turns that what we have into enough. Oh, that's sweet.
Oh,
Awesome. Okay, I think I got Michaela down for that one. You had it first. Nice job.
yeah.
Good to see you too.
Yes. Thank you all for joining. Okay. Something with the letter T. My husband came up with that one.
Tic Tacs, Carmen, for the win.
Yes. And then the last thing is going to be something reflective.
Ooh.
All you smart people with your phones, I would have never even thought of that.
Amanda. That's smart. So smart.
Oh, glasses. That's a good one.
Such a good one. Thank you, Sarah, so much. That was awesome.
Thank you for participating.
We have a question that came through on the group chat. And the person, I'm just going to read what they wrote here. I have a specific question that applies to my teenage daughter, but was not sure if you wanted specific situations. We do, and I'm glad you put it on here. How do you encourage a child to remain involved in an activity that they used to love? Her situation is playing an instrument, and now that there is no band, she no longer practices or plays it. How do I encourage her to do something she used to love without creating more anxiety over it?
One of the things that I would suggest is that first, getting her to verbalize her feelings around how she feels about not being able to practice in the band and do all the things that she did before. So first, seek to understand exactly how she's feeling. And then I would look for creative ways to get her to continue to do that. I mean, there are virtual groups. Even if there's one friend that she was playing with before, perhaps they can do a virtual band playing. I mean, so there's things that we can do creatively through Zoom. I know we were talking about Zoom fatigue earlier, but the way to get her connected, because my mind goes to, as she was able to do it before in a community and not now be able to do it because she's isolated, getting her connected in some level to have some of that born in her so she can feel connected again. But then also having some level of fun around it at home, right? So have the family come around and watch her play, be encouraging, cheering her on. I mean, those would be the ones, generally speaking, without knowing her specific coping mechanism and those types of things. But that would be what I would suggest.
And I know when I was growing up, my coping skill was writing. I loved writing, and it helped me kind of express my emotions. So maybe even like sitting down with her and trying to figure out like, what kind of music do you love? What brings you joy? What brings you calmness, relaxation? And then maybe she can start playing new pieces or just being a little more creative with it as well. I know that was helpful when I was growing up for myself.
Thank you both.
Anyone else have any questions? Feel free to put them in the group chat too. We can read them anonymously. Anyone else have anything that they want to add to the conversation? Okay. I'm gonna give the floor over to Sarah Summy.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad that we could have this time together. If you are a parent or a kid on here, I just want to say I'm really proud of you for taking this time, even though it's just calling into a Zoom meeting. But you know, this just really shows that you care about your managing your stress and taking good care of yourself and your family. And that's a really big deal. That's not something that a lot of people put a lot of priority on. So I just commend you and celebrate you for that. Also, so Palm Point is a sister facility of University Behavioral Center, but we offer, in addition to inpatient care, we offer intensive outpatient programming for children and adolescents, well, actually adolescents starting at age 13. So teens 13 and up. And what that looks like is a few hours a day after school, about 3 days per week, where they can come and be in a group setting and work with master's level clinicians to be able to work through some issues that they may be having. So if you find yourself struggling beyond what you can handle in your toolboxes and the tips that you've learned here, you can always reach out to us at Palm Point for a complimentary assessment. Also, University Behavioral Center as well. We're your partners in this, so lean on us. We're your behavioral health friends out in the community, so you don't have to go it alone. There's nothing wrong with reaching out and seeking help. So it get heavy. You need someone to help you carry them sometimes.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. And Amanda, Carmen, and Michaela, please email me your name and mailing address so we can send you something special. Juanita from Positive Behavioral Solution has a nice gift card that she's donated, and we have some cool snack packs that we're going to be sending to you as well. And Juanita, will you share a little bit about what you guys do too?
Yeah, so we're an outpatient mental health agency. We do work with a lot of adoption, foster care families. So we do empower the whole family as a whole. We also do psychosocial rehabilitation. So a lot of social skills, independent living skills, and support groups. So in addition to like all the wonderful services that Wendy and Sarah shared, I also think it's important to be compassionate with yourself. Like sometimes we're just very hard on, you know, what we think we should be able to do or how we should be able to cope with everything that's going on. But be easy. There is support, like maybe you're not ready for a therapist yet, but there are support groups. Maybe you're not ready for, you know, intensive outpatient treatment, but there are therapists. And then just find something that works for you with coping. So that's something that we use to empower everyone. So it's okay to not be okay. I'm sure we hear that a lot, but be honest with yourself and be compassionate for yourself as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Juanita. Any other comments? Anything anyone wants to add? Thank you so much, Janie. We appreciate you so much. Love the practical tips today. And if you guys need anything else, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. Reach out to your local schools. There are people that care about you. We care about you. You matter. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening tonight. Thanks for sharing some time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.